Greetings, my friends. Look at that smiling face. And welcome to the show. This is Thought Media Network. I'm Ken Ludwig, and you are watching the Vibrant Living Hour. We have a very special guest today, and I'll introduce her in a moment. I hope this day finds you all safe, healthy, and happy, and that you're living your best life doing whatever it is that you're doing. Hope you're just enjoying yourself. So, Mike, I want to get right in today because this is a big deal to me. This is a dear, dear friend. This is Dr. Dana McGrady. And I want to give you a little brief bio on who and what she is. Dr. Dana McGrady is a doctor of Oriental medicine. More importantly than that, she's the mama of 3 adorable little kids. She specializes in nutrition, homeopathy, and electrical medicine. She's been helping people live their best and happiest life with optimal nutrition for 16 years. She's madly in love with her life and loves helping people take their very first steps towards health. She's also a top network marketing leader. She's a powerful magnetic coach, mentor, and author. She published her first book through Networking Times in 2017. She's working on her next book now. And just because she has so much time in her hands, she has 2 clinics operating in Florida as well. But what she's really doing is she's leading a revolution for those of us who are on a mission for time and financial freedom. People who want to take back their power and be the master of their own universe using the most powerful and beautiful profession there is, network marketing. That'll be an interesting part of the conversation if we get to it. But for now, here she is, the one and only Dr. Dana McGrady. Dana, welcome to the show. I'm just so thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you, Ken. You looked so good with my Instagram filter just now. You were like sparkling. I was like, Ken's going to love this filter.
I need all the help I can get.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on this show. What you do for the world is just a beautiful thing. So any way that I can contribute, I'm happy to.
Well, you know what? And I think from that perspective, we're 2 peas in a pod. And in all honesty, I mean, I've been studying spirituality for 20 years. And I have learned as much from you as I have learned from half the authors I have read in the last 20 years when it comes to being that, what you just said, to being that uplifting presence, that beneficial presence in the world. And that's really why I wanted to do today's subject. You know, today's subject is following your heart in life and in business. And it's, you know, and full disclosure for anybody and everybody who wants to know, Dana and I are associated in business. But we're not here to talk about the business particularly. We're here to talk about life and living. And just, you know, because I've got it in my hand, I want to hold this up. This is Dana's book, Magnetic Soulpreneur. This is, you know what, if you're in the worlds that we're in, if direct selling or network marketing, or if you're just in business, this is a great, great, great book to read. I always joke about the fact that I love to read. I'm an insanely, painfully slow reader, but I breezed through this book because I loved it so much. So just so you know that it's there.
Thank you, Ken.
Anyway, my friend, first thing I want to talk about, because I think this is important, because I think this is people that some people haven't heard much about. Tell us a little bit about your practice of electrical medicine. What is electrical medicine?
Ooh, good question. So I've been doing electrical medicine for 18 years. This month is my 18-year anniversary. Wow. I opened my clinic in 2003. 18 years ago, I graduated in May, and I had to wait until I was 21, which was like I went to college starting at age 14. So then I graduated, I did an accelerated program, got it all done, worked my butt off, you know, harder than I ever had, because it wasn't easy to go to school for integrative medicine that young. And then I had to wait because by Florida law, I had to be 21 to get my acupuncture license to see patients. So I was like, okay, well, I can't open my clinic yet. So I traveled for 3 months, got it out of my system, had a lot of fun backpacking through Europe and a lot of fun. And then went into opening my clinic September of 2003. And so this month is my anniversary. I'm sorry, the kids are outside my window swinging on my front porch swings right now. Like they're swinging on the front porch swings, Ken, like it's a roller coaster ride. I hope the roof holds them. And I'm watching it.
There you go. Something don't tear down part of the brand new house.
But hey, they're entertained and happy. So hey.
They're having a great time.
You got it. So yeah, so 18 years ago I started, and I didn't know anything. I went to school for Chinese medicine, so learned all about the energy and the meridians and how powerful that was. And it's always a learning in progress. And I learned way more on patients than I ever did in school. I learned way more mentoring with my father. My father was a medical doctor that did holistic, and he worked really hard on bringing homeopathy over from Germany and bringing over an energetic screening machine called EDS 2000, which is what I still use in my clinic. And it's an electrodermal screening machine. So on the machine, testing using, it's like kinesiology, muscle testing with a software where you can be more specific and you can just find out root causes, right? Because anything going on in the body, if you clean out the bad and support the good, then things can heal. But what people often try to do is they try to support the good and take probiotics and take vitamin D and take, oh yeah, B vitamins, I need B vitamins, but they don't detox any of the bad. And the bad stays in there, creating the sickness that they usually feel or inflammation that they usually feel. So energetic testing, energetic medicine to me is a highly sensitive form of finding out the root cause. And then using homeopathy to send the signal to the brain and to the immune fighter cells on what needs to be cleaned out. It's a really beautiful type of medicine. And I highly recommend finding an integrative doctor if you haven't gotten any answers. Like most people that come to me have been a lot of places and they never got answers. And so that's the cool thing about this type of medicine.
Wow. And as you're explaining it, I had the first time I really had this connection in my head that obviously everything is energy. We all get that. And we are just this one big moving bundle of energy moving through space. But our signaling system through our entire body is electrical. And it makes perfect sense that this is the way that we talk to the body from someone else. This is how you talk to my body if I'm experiencing disease or discomfort of some kind or another. And it makes incredible sense to me all of a sudden.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm a big fan because you know me well enough to know I'm not a big Western medicine guy. I'm not a big prescription guy. I have a doctor. I have a regular allopathic doctor who I love. I adore her. When I first met her, she was brand new to the organization she works for. I was one of her first patients. So it was really cool that she was really interested in who is her patient. And she sent me off for all of these tests just to find out who I was. And they were tests that nobody else had ever done before on me, which was really cool. And she got a sense of who I am. But along the way, she would tell me, okay, Ken, you've got this going on. Your cholesterol's a little high. So I want to give you a statin. And I used to laugh at her and go, Natalie, we're not doing any statins. You tell me what you want me to accomplish, and I'll go find out what to do and take care of it, which is how I've lived my life for the last 30 years.
Just clean out the liver. Clean out the liver.
Get the ingredients that work and clean out the stuff that needs to go away. And of course, we, better than anybody, Western medicine is not very good at that. Many years ago in 1992, I had an issue with my thyroid, and of course, then all kinds of medicine and blah blah blah. And I decided that was the beginning of my pathway into natural medicine. And I went to an acupuncturist for the first time in my life. And he said something to me that made more sense than anything I'd ever heard from any doctor ever. He just said to me, Western medicine is not very inquisitive. They don't ask us any questions. I've never had a doctor ask me what was my diet. Yeah. Right? What do you do for a living? Anyway, I appreciate the explanation because I'm not sure that everybody understands how that all functions in the body and how important that is.
Yeah, it is important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's, we live in arguably one of the most unhealthy countries on the planet. And we really do need to find a different pathway to health than whatever we've been using up till now, because it ain't working, right? It's just not working. So The real thing today is following your heart. Now, I know you and you've been practicing for almost exactly 18 years. And I think
Mhm.
in September, I know you for almost exactly 6 years.
Oh,
I
I
think that
love it.
September 2015, I believe, is when we met.
Yeah.
And and we don't need to tell the story. We've been like this since day one. I don't have any idea what that was about. But I don't know. But we have been so close since we first met. You even talked about the coincidences of our connection, which is just it's very interesting, and there is no really explanation for it, and I guess there shouldn't be. But
Yeah.
one of my observations of you that I find very unique, Dana. One of my observations of you is that you have an uncanny sense of an almost unconditional, selfless love for people around you, not just family and friends, but for everyone, for business associates. And people get that from you. You are the number one cheerleader. You're the number one promoter. You make everybody feel special. You make everybody feel that they can. And I want to know, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I believe that this is literally who you are. I don't think that this is something you practice. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
As you said that question, I don't think you're wrong. As a little girl, I was always very positive to the point where people made fun of me in school for being so positive. I remember being a teenager and people going, "You can't possibly be this bubbly." I remember that was my nickname when I was 13 was Bubbles, and
Oh,
and so
you didn't want to tell me that.
I got it from my father. I really did. He was positive till the day he passed. Like he was overly positive always. There was nothing like no matter what, he would always find the silver lining. And I do think it's in my genes. I definitely think I got the positivity from him, but I am everyone's biggest cheerleader because I've been at rock bottom and I wasn't very good when I started my online business or my clinics. And I learned, I had the desire to learn and I had a growth mindset and I worked on the things I needed to work on. And it took time. But I believe any human, if they want something bad enough, they will find a way to learn what the skill sets needed in order to succeed. They will find the right mentors. They will stick with the right group. And they will dig their heels in with grit and determination. And I've seen it happen. I've seen people transform as I myself have transformed. So I know if I can do it, anyone can do it.
But it's interesting because I see you as an enormous catalyst for people to do that, to seek that next highest vision of themselves. You're there, fanning the flames underneath them, like very few people I've ever known in my life. And I just, it's a quality of yours that it's I hate being too vociferous with you about my accolades and stuff, but it's a trait of yours that I find worth copying, worth emulating. To just try and look at people through that lens of everybody is potential in form. Everybody is there to seek that next highest vision of themselves, and anything I can do to facilitate that is, I guess, it's kind of what we're here for, isn't it?
I love that, Ken. I love that. Thank you. And honestly, that was the best compliment someone has given me in a very long time. So thank you for that. It made my heart happy because that means that the inner work I've done is paying off. And also it's all about the mark you leave on the people you mentor. It's all about the people you can help along the way. And that, to me, there's more good than bad in every single human. There's more good than bad. And we can either focus on the negative, the excuses, the not showing up of the people around us, or we can say what's really truly holding them back and how can I help them break through if they have the desire. If they don't have the desire, then sometimes we have to love them enough to leave them until they're ready to get to the next level in their life. And that's just, one of the lessons you have to learn as a mentor is when to let people go. And knowing and having faith that they'll come back when it's the right time for them.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get it from you. I've seen you in action with that. You've mentored dozens and dozens and dozens of people in the time that I've known you. And I've seen some fall by the wayside. And you know, I've always considered you a mentor of mine. I'm always grateful you haven't left me by the wayside.
No way. And you're one of my mentors, Ken. I've learned so much from you. I love everything I learned from you.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. You know, and I guess my beloved Lisa, who's watching as we speak here. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tiff. She has always said to me, you know, what my true calling is to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, back in when I went to college, I went to Marist College in upstate New York, and I went there for 1 year. And I went there as a math major to be a teacher. That was my original goal in life, was to be a teacher. But that all got lost and changed, and you know, there was this whole growing up in the late 60s and 70s to be done, and that kind of was very distracting from lots of positive things that could have happened in my life. They just didn't happen.
I imagine you had a lot of fun though.
You know, I'm a child of the 60s, and I think I've said this to you before. I always considered it very unique that I had the entirety of my teen years in the 60s. I turned 10 in 1960, and I turned 20 in 1970. So all my teens were in the 60s. And it was a hellacious, fun time to grow up. But some of us were more susceptible to being led astray than others. And that's, you don't know my story with sobriety and all that stuff. And that's, that's where I learned to perfect 25 years of drug and alcohol abuse, was during the 60s. That's where it all started. That's a whole nother workshop, folks. But we live in a world that I have started to refer to as the sympathetic world. And I call it the sympathetic world, not in terms of sympathy. I call it the sympathetic world in terms of our autonomic nervous system, of the sympathetic nervous system, that we are living in fight or flight, freeze or fright all the time. We don't come out of it. And it's really interesting because, and just an explanation for people who are listening, you know all this, but the autonomic nervous system is supposed to be a self-regulating system. In other words, when the fear of the saber-toothed tiger eating you for lunch subsides, you go from that sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system, which they call that rest and digest, or breed and feed. But that's supposed to be our natural state. In the 21st century, it seems like our autonomic nervous system has been triggered by everything. I mean, and not the least of which is the insanity of a global pandemic. I mean, here we've got a disease that is affecting the entire planet. Well, that's enough to get some scarier people well into their sympathetic nervous system and keep the rest of us there most of the time. But all the other, the news, politics, relationships, taking care of aging parents, taking care of kids in a scary world, all of the things that contribute to life in the 21st century seem to have us in that sympathetic nervous system all the time.
I agree.
You are someone who, in some senses, you almost seem immune to it to me. But I know that's not true. But I know from your perspective as a holistic doctor, from your perspective as a practitioner of Chinese medicine, and all the other things that you and I know to be things that we do to take us out of that sympathetic state of mind. That's a very long lead into the question of, what's your advice to people in the 21st century, at this time in history, when we are so like all the time? What do we do, Dana? What do we do?
You know my secret weapon.
Let me guess. Does it look like this?
You already know my secret weapon.
Yours is bigger than mine. You got the 1500. I got the 750.
I have a 750 here too.
There you go. I also have a 500 right here. But that's
CBD, right? That's what CBD does. Is it calms down your fight or flight. It calms down that flared up central nervous system that's like on stress mode all the time. And patients come in and I'm like, you can't turn off your fight or flight. And they're like, you're right, Dr. Dana, I can't. Yeah. And so it's like, we got to help people turn that off, because when you have no shut off button, you're not very happy to be around people. You're stressed all the time, and that's not really a way to live. So for me, I take my adrenal supplements. I need adrenals. Your adrenals are your management of stress. And so I support my adrenals really good. I've been doing that since my early 20s. And now I take my CBD religiously, and I have been more zen in the last year and a half that you've known me. And I get a lot more done that way. My best advice for people is to not take life too seriously, right? Adding humor in everyday life really helps. Because the craziness of the world, if you can't laugh at it a little bit, like otherwise it'll paralyze you. Right? It'll paralyze you, and you won't get any action in, and you won't accomplish anything because you'll just be in this constant state of fear. So shut off the TV, shut off the media, get some meditation, do Ken's meditation techniques, right? And just, you have to be able to find your Zen zone. You have to be able to find your inner peace and your inner calm by seeing the good more than the bad. And like I said, there's more good than bad. We have, beautiful humans with beautiful hearts that all want the same thing: peace, security, love, joy, and some sense of satisfaction in what they're accomplishing in their life. And so it's hard to do that if you're full of inflammation, right? So cut out the bad foods, get rid of the inflammatory foods. They're not serving you. Cut out the gluten, the dairy, the sugar. I love practicing a paleo type diet on a daily basis, as long as it's organic, for proteins and stuff. If they're organic proteins and grass fed, then I'm good with that, because I personally recognize that the inflammatory foods are what are keeping a lot of people in that unhappy state. They don't realize it, but when their gut's all inflamed, they're not creating enough happy brain chemicals. Like, they're not creating any serotonin, they're not creating any GABA. And so they're more irritable, they're more cranky, and they're more depressed, right? So it's like if the systems that are creating the Zen brain chemicals are all inflamed because you're eating gluten and dairy and all the sugar every day, so get control over that first. Get power over what you put in your mouth first. And then after that, find your Zen. You've got to find a way to unplug. You've got to find a way to do a little digital detox, right? We're all just stressed out from all the digital craziness everywhere. And now we've got the 5G to worry about. At bedtime, shut off your Wi-Fi router. My best advice: let your body fully rest when you're sleeping. And it's hard to do that if your Wi-Fi router is all around your house, binging off all the phones and making you stressed out, your nervous system stressed out while you're sleeping.
Wow, totally get it. And I love the fact that I'm a firm believer, and I love that you just started it out this way, that your life, your happiness, your joy begins and ends with what you put in your mouth.
Yes.
It absolutely does. You just can't operate at your optimum levels if you got all this inflammation going on in your body. And people don't understand something that you just said, that eating these inflammatory foods causes more depression, causes more down moods. It causes more just feeling lousy. And people think it's what's going on. It's their job. It's their this, it's their that. Half of it is because of the crap you had for breakfast.
More than half, I think.
Yeah. It's got to be true. It's got to be 100% true. And then you really then need to focus on those other things that will get you there. You mentioned Ken's meditations. You know me well enough to know I've been meditating since before you were born.
That's why you're so happy. I think that's why you're so happy.
I get asked that all the time. Why are you always in such a good mood? And my stock answer is, it's a decision I make before I get out of bed in the morning. And it is. I mean, I have a series of things, affirmations basically, that I say to myself before my feet hit the floor. And I do some stretches in bed before I get out of bed. So I already feel better than I did when I woke up when I get out of the bed. But my meditation piece, my daily practice, my daily spiritual practice is hugely important to me. And it really helps me, I believe, to build resiliency. And that's great. And that's wonderful. But you get up from your meditation cushion or the little chair in the corner of my patio where I am, you get up from that and you walk off into life. Life happens and life hits you. And that's where our little buddy comes in here. You need to have those things. And I don't want to be too glib about it. I mean, CBD is amazing in how it absolutely has the ability to help that self-regulating system self-regulate and get us from that sympathetic to that parasympathetic nervous system and get us to calm down and feel better. And people talk all the time with CBD around a sense of mental clarity. And there's an actual physiological reason for that. When you get yourself out of that sympathetic nervous system, right? When sympathetic nervous system, all the blood goes to your extremities to run away from that saber-toothed tiger, right? And where does all that blood come from?
Your brain.
It comes from your brain. And I always joke about the fact when you're pissed off or you're afraid or you're angry at something, you're instantaneously dumber.
Yeah.
If you come out of that, all of a sudden, that's what mental clarity is. The brain's going back to the blood's going back to your brain, right?
You got it. And calm. I think that's like the ultimate self-control is knowing when to remain calm and have emotional intelligence. It's not always easy, depending on what life throws at you. But if you can remain calm and keep your breathing intact and take a couple deep breaths. I love the exercise of take 4 counts of a deep breath in, then hold it for 4 counts, and then let it go for 4 counts. Do that 3 times and you'll be 100% calmer again. And you're getting oxygen, right? Oxygen is life. It's our life force. So we need oxygen to the brain. When you're in the sympathetic, your oxygen's depleted out of the brain, and so is the blood flow. And so you got to kind of visually bring that back on purpose.
Breathing exercise is a great exercise because it only works 100% of the time. Because as you just said, you have less oxygen in your brain. Most of that is because we start to breathe more shallowly when we get excited for whatever reason. Whatever has brought us into that sympathetic nervous system, we're breathing more shallowly. We're not getting oxygen into our system. And it does just calm you down. I've been noticing myself lately that you know me well enough to know I'm not a stressed out person. I really don't get very stressed out very often. But
Never.
when I do,
I'm sure I've seen you stressed out, but I can't even remember it.
Well, and that's good because that's a commentary on my ability to maybe to deal with it. But I've started to notice some things lately, like I get that I'm short of breath and I'm breathing through my mouth when something has annoyed me. And Lisa gave me a book a long time ago. I'm a horrible mouth breather. And Lisa gave me a book a long time ago. The name of the book is Close Your Mouth.
I love her.
Awesome. I was wondering if she gave it to me for more than one reason than just my breathing, but I don't know.
She wanted to have life-giving oxygen to the brain forever so that she could keep her sweetie pie around for a very long time. That's exactly what it was.
Well, I notice a difference when I can put my attention on that. Because as you explained, it's more oxygen going to the brain. And I think in yoga, they say the nose is for breathing, the mouth is for eating. So, and lots of breathing techniques are breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In yoga, they're like, no, all of that happens through your nose. None of that happens in your mouth because that's what your breathing apparatus is. So the idea of following your heart, which is what we started out with here, is I think it's a real challenge in this day and age to follow your heart. There are lots of things that so many of us would like to be doing or would like to have done that we never get to. And I was just, as I was looking at your introduction for the show, I was thinking to myself, you read this introduction and people got to wonder, does Dana have like more days in her week than we do? Does Dana have more hours in her days than we do? But the answer is no. There's a real sense of following your heart and doing the things that you love. And that is not something that comes natural to everybody or anybody. That's something you've practiced and worked on. And really, and this may really be putting you on the spot because it's a big question, but what do you think about in terms of what are Dana McGrady's secrets to being able to come from your heart the vast majority of the time?
I love that. I love that. I love that. Oh goodness. So when I say follow your heart, I'm also a big fan of the intuition in our second brain, the gut.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they have to work in correlation. The heart and the gut have to work together, even if the gut and the brain are usually associated, because the heart is your passion and your joy. The gut is your inner sense, your sixth sense, your smart, like intuition. So you have to work from passion, and you have to work from how can I make the world a better place? That's the heart. And then the gut is the intuition that guides you. And so I'm a big fan of working from your heart, only for the fact that it puts others ahead of you. It helps you come from a humble place. It keeps you real. It makes you realize that you can, if you were at rock bottom ever, you can go right back there at any time. So it keeps you honest and hardworking. And working from your heart, I mean, is there any other way, Ken? I can't even imagine any other way to be, because what's the point of doing it if it doesn't light you up inside? So many people are working jobs that they don't love, or they're doing things or maybe they're in, some kind of situation that doesn't bring them joy and doesn't spark anything. So and there's always reasons behind it, but hopefully they can listen to their intuition and their heart to find what brings them joy and stick with that. And sometimes the scary thing is it's not certain, right? So like opening an online business, for example, it's not certain, but it's the right way. You love lifestyle freedom. The people you're with and the mentors you have make you happy. So it's like, if you were to say no to that opportunity, no matter what it is, if you were to say no to it, would you ever regret it? And would you ever forgive yourself later on for saying no to it? So that's the questions we got to ask ourselves. Same thing with any situation in life. If I don't go on this epic bucket list trip to Bali, right, that I have the opportunity to go on, would I regret it later and forget and be able to forgive myself? So it's like, just like you said, so many people have things they really want to do. And I think that this pandemic, with all the travel shutting down for so long, made people realize like, oh, there's so many places I still want to go. There's so many places, so many things I still want to experience. And they saw a lot of their freedoms being taken down while they're trying to we're fighting this virus. That's got to be the primary, has to be fighting this virus and keeping our loved ones safe and keeping other people safe and helping people find ways to combat it, And so, I mean, I haven't been on the front lines because I'm not in the ER and but I definitely have been working with, thousands and thousands of patients in the last 18 months. Having that kind of consumed me a little bit too, because of patients and got the positive test and okay, what can I send you from the lab? And this is what you got to do early on. It's like just keeping people, getting to them early enough so it doesn't turn into a cytokine storm, talking about COVID. Same thing with not following your heart. If you don't follow your heart, guess what your life is going to be? A cytokine storm, right? A cytokine storm that kills you slowly or makes your organs, shut down. And that's the joy in life, is your organs, right? So you guys can see the analogy. We got to catch things early if we're not following our heart, and we got to make pivots and adjustments to follow our bliss, right? When you follow your bliss in life and you figure it out, and you can be resourceful and you can pivot when needed, you're never going to regret it.
Wow. Absolutely fabulous advice. And it's just, and I think so many people really need to stop and take a look at the idea of following their gut, following their intuition, because so many, I literally took a class from the person who's going to be my guest next week, years ago, on intuition, because I always thought, I'm from a generation where intuition was only associated with one thing, women's intuition. It was a thing that girls had. Guys didn't have intuition. Girls
What?
have intuition. That's just kind of, that was what my mindset was. And Sue Frederick, this woman who'll be on next week, she taught me basically that everybody has that intuitive sense. Now, of course, as time has gone by and I've become more tuned into the body and the gut, the mind body connection and the gut connection, of course, I know a whole hell of a lot more about that, and through meditation and other things. But I don't think a lot of people have any clue how to access that intuition. I think when they get those little hits, those intuitive hits, they don't recognize them at all. It's like some little dream voice in their head telling them to do something that doesn't make any sense. Something that just isn't reality. That your example, an example for both of us, starting an online business, starting a network marketing business, starting a business, period. Anything outside the norm, which I think a lot of people are asking those questions now. What are those things I can do? But that intuitive sense doesn't seem to be there. I think people need to kind of develop that ability to sit and listen to it. Sit and pay attention.
I agree. I mean, the one thing we definitely need in this world, besides all of us being more in tune with our intuition, is more love, right? More love, less judgment, less division, more unity, more kindness, right? Every single human is healing silently from something that they don't discuss. We all, every single one of us has turmoil going on in our head once in a while. And so we just always have to be more kind. And that's another thing the pandemic, I think, taught all of us is it's no fun to be divided from our neighbor. It's no fun to not be unified. And when what I've started doing, Ken, is if I'm on social media and there's someone that's creating anger, hate, division, I mute them. I mute them. I unfollow. I can't. I have to protect my peace. And I know you're good at doing it too, but I urge everyone listening, protect your peace, because it's the most precious thing you have in order to protect everything else. But protect your peace. Just like turn off the media, turn off the social media people that are trying to create divisions and hate and crankiness and complaining. No time for it, no space for it. We're moving on now, right? So it is a decision we can all make.
Time to go to the next level.
Yeah.
There's a great thought process with what you're talking about there, that what we create inside, by protecting that peace, by making sure that whatever is my feeling within is the highest feeling I can have for me. It's filled with that love, compassion, kindness, joy, peace of mind. If I can create that within, then the interesting piece of that is I can't do anything else but project that outside of me. And if I project that outside of me, that's really what becomes the experience of my life. That's how I experience people. That's how I experience situations. It's how I experience the vicissitudes of life. I see them through that lens of the peace of mind that I've created within. Every bit of turmoil that I see in the world, in some way, shape, or form, is a reflection of what turmoil I've got going on within me, right?
Yes, 100%. And you are good about shutting that inner turmoil off. You're very good at it.
I have my moments.
We all do.
It's kind of, I've been kind of on a mission the last, I guess I really haven't looked at it this way, but I think as a direct result of the pandemic, because we've been shut off from doing things for a very long time, I find myself really paying a lot of attention to the inner work.
I mean, that was the blessing. Honestly, the one blessing I felt from the first initial quarantine was that it made us all slow down and shut off the noise, and it made us do some inner work. Some people took it as an opportunity to slow down, spend time with their loved ones, really kind of regroup. and figure out what's most important and recognize how much fluff we have that we don't need, simplify. But then others took it as an opportunity to get more depressed, to drink more alcohol, and to go into a fear spiral, everyone had a moment of that too, like fear and the spiral of getting overwhelmed with the world. We all had that, but it was the ones that regrouped, got out of it, gotten positivity and back. And so I feel like those lessons are going to stay with all of us forever from that time period of how we really showed ourselves what we were made of.
I so agree with that. So totally agree with that. I think there's always, in every big negative event or set of circumstances, there is a shift in lots of people, and a certain number of those people maintain that shift. And that shift becomes a way of life. And I really do think that with all of I could probably right now, I could list for you 10 things that in my mind's eye suck beyond belief in our country, in the world, blah, blah, blah. But if I want to focus on those, they're only going to grow. And I think those of us who have spent the time going within and looking at life from a different perspective and now see things from a different perspective, I think those are the people that will help us to take that next step beyond where we are and beyond that, and to step into a place. My prayer partner talks about this all the time. Her goal is to be a facilitator of a world that works for all beings all the time. And I'm not sure that there's a higher calling.
No, I don't think so. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and it starts with us, it starts with you and me. It starts with our relationship. It starts with your relationship with Adam, my relationship with Lisa, your relationship with Kaya and Aria and Declan. I mean, that's what that's all about, is just taking all of our relationships to a higher dimension of love and compassion and kindness, and then having that be what we project into the world.
And unconditional family love. And it can be with friends. Your friends become family through life, and so we do have to always show kindness and know that everyone's fighting a battle, and really stick close to, those little humans that came out of my belly. I definitely need to stick close to them. They're cute as a button.
They are the cutest. I wasn't going to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you. Your youngest, Declan, who's just the cutest freaking kid on the planet. But everybody, I was thinking about this. Here's this cute little boy. He's got the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and he's just absolutely a gorgeous kid. And everybody calls him Decky. And I'm thinking to myself, they're going to call him Decky until he's 6 foot tall and his voice changes and he looks in the eye and says, "My name is Declan." He'll be done and he'll be done with Decky forever.
He looks just like my brother Timmy, which is funny. And Timmy says, "My name's Tim now," but I still call him Timmy, right? Because that was his name when I was little. And the other day I found a photo of me and my little brother when I was maybe 7 or 8, and he was 5 or 6. And my little girl Aria thought it was her and Declan, and it was me and my brother Timmy.
Wow,
because Declan looks so much like Tim. That's just
interesting. That's very interesting. I have one of those in my family. My mother and her older sister, pictures of them when they were little kids in Brooklyn, New York, in the 30s, look like exact copies of her older sister's 2 daughters, my 2 cousins.
Oh, cool.
Who are you couldn't tell if you didn't look at the obvious age of the photography itself. They look like carbon copies or the same kids. It was pretty amazing.
I love it.
But that's always fascinating to me, the how family resemblances come out.
Well, when I was in Hawaii and my brother was there and Decky was there, I would be screaming. My brother has a farm in North Shore, and I'd be screaming. Declan's chasing the chickens or something he's not supposed to do, and I'm yelling at him, and my mom brain starts calling him my little brother's name because I kept having flashbacks of when I was little and my little brother was acting up. So I'm screaming, "Timmy!" And my brother's right next to me going, that's not his name. And I'm right here. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I need more brain spray.
That's got a Twilight Zone aspect to it.
Total. Because it's subconscious, right? It's your subconscious
okay.
level of your memories.
How can a 5-year-old boy not chase chickens on Kauai?
True.
I mean, where are there more chickens anywhere?
True. True.
That's funny. That's priceless. I just, the one thing I do want to touch on because we are associated in business, and we do want people to know that there is a bigger world out there that you can follow your heart into a business thing. You can follow your heart into something that you create. One of our teammates actually posted something the other day that said, network marketing isn't for everybody, just like waiting a whole year for $1 an hour raise isn't for me.
Right.
Many years ago, I came to the conclusion that I always joked I'm psychologically unemployable. But the truth of the matter is, I don't want to be told what I'm worth by somebody else. I don't want to take orders. I don't want to be told to go do something that I have absolutely no connection to wanting to do. I want to do the things that I love in the world. And what I love is helping people. What I love is very much connected in our business is I love helping people with their health. I love helping people with the opportunity to take themselves to a whole different place financially. And the biggest one, I think, if you talk to everybody that we know in this industry, somewhere along the line, the word freedom stands out like a commonality for everybody. I don't care if it's time freedom, lifestyle freedom, financial freedom. Freedom is what it's all about. And there is nothing more freeing than having not just an entrepreneurial business, but an entrepreneurial business where you don't need a building, where you don't need a cash register, where you don't need a CPA, where you don't need to keep your books, where it's all done for you. And what you do is share what you love.
I love it. Yeah. So my thought is that if you don't have a plan B, if you don't start a plan B now, you're going to find yourself needing one and up the creek without a paddle. Just because there are things in life, like I don't know many people that can only have one stream of income these days because the cost of living is going up. And for me, I went to college. Everyone said, are you going to work for someone else's clinic? Or are you just going to start mentoring under someone? And I just remember being like, no, I'm going to open my own clinic. Like, it was like the most natural, like, why would I work for someone else? Like they thought I was crazy, but I thought they were crazy for wanting to work for someone. So like, it's just like either you're an entrepreneur or you're a learned entrepreneur. Some are born that way or they're taught. I think I was taught because my parents always owned their own business. So you are taught, right? But at the same time, you can learn it just the same. You can learn it because of your deep desire for freedom. You can learn it because of your deep desire to pay off debt or get ahead or be in a business where you literally get paid to work on your inner stuff, right? I love that. You get paid. We say it's a personal development program with a compensation plan wrapped around it. And that's the truth. You get paid to have this incredible team that becomes your family, that you're cheering each other on. You get paid to help people to the point where I had a patient yesterday where his 8 seizures a day went down to 2 seizures a month.
Wow.
And in only 2 months since starting my protocol. And a big part of the protocol.
Let me guess. CBD.
You got it. You got it. So I can't take the credit, right? I just gave him the roadmap. But I see those testimonials and hear them all the time to the point where the human body wants to heal itself. And if that's your passion and your joy and you get to make income from doing that, wow. Yeah. Then you live a blessed life if that's the case. And for me, I started my own businesses because I thought that's what I have to do. And then I quickly started drowning in overhead. I got to the point where I was like ambitious, and I was like, I'm going to open up another clinic, and I'll have another clinic, and then I'll start a kids nutrition line and a book on kids nutrition. I had it all mapped out on my whiteboard, right? And it was big ideas and big plans that took a lot of overhead. And around that same time, I got pregnant with my third baby, cute little Decky, right? He was a surprise, the best surprise in my life. But at the time I was very overwhelmed. I didn't know yet because I was so overwhelmed with all the overhead and the 3 clinic locations, and all these big plans that were going to take a lot of money and a lot of time away from the little humans that were most important. And so at that point, I got my first online opportunity for a network marketing company. And I heard the magic words in my ear, have you ever thought about building a residual income? And I thought, I wasn't even like automatically like, no way, how would I have time for that? I was actually more intrigued. It was like a light bulb turned on, like, I don't even know what that is. Like, what does that mean? And she said, it's when you don't trade hours for dollars anymore, when you get paid every month, no matter what effort you're putting in, just because your team is growing and you just keep putting in the same effort. And I thought, leverage. A leveraged based residual income. That's exactly what I need right now. Like in my mind, it was like a light bulb that said, this is a gift being given to me. And if I don't open the present and jump into this beautiful opportunity, I would regret it forever. So I recognized that it was kind of like a fork in the road. And the most common reason people don't do it or say no is because their practical side comes in. And their practical side says, no, you don't have time for that. And what about your 9 to 5 that you're about to get a raise for, and you're getting another opportunity? You're going to do 2 people's jobs now in one. And it's just craziness. You're in this hamster wheel. And so we have to make the decision to get out of the hamster wheel, first of all, which is brave and it's hard to do. And it's not easy, right? But then when you make that decision, and you find the right mentor, you also have to realize you can do it in the pockets of your day. So I had to build my business the first year and a half in the pockets of my day while still having the 3 clinic locations. And that's not easy. But if it brings you joy and it lights you up and it brings you passion, I quickly found myself getting my passion from my side business and finding in my mind a way of like, how big do I need to build this side business that brings me joy in order to cut back on the brick and mortar businesses that steal my energy and steal my joy because of all the heavy lifting and all the extra overhead, right? So I found a way out because I had it in my vision and I worked really hard and I got a way out of it. But I tell you what, Ken, if you don't make that decision, and you just decide to stay in the hamster wheel, you're a little bit inside will die every single day. And so we need a world full of people that are lit up with their passion and excitement. That's what's going to heal the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love your whole description of your journey because it's so indicative of so many people. I mean, you had 3 clinics. Which made you and 3 kids and made you insanely busy. And lots of people, they don't have to have 3 clinics and 3 kids. All they have to do is have 2 jobs and 2 kids. And they can recognize how little time they have in the world, how little time they have to do the things they really want to do. And there are those pockets in the day. I love that expression, when you can literally build a business. And we live in a time, I've been involved in and out of network marketing for almost 30 years, and there has never been an easier time to make this happen, to make a business happen with all of the incredible virtual tools we have. You don't ever have to go to meetings. You don't ever have to go out of the flipping house. You can do the whole thing from your living room in your pajamas. You can have a ball doing that. I just want to put in a plug for the team that you and I are a part of, the team that you lead, that I'm a part of. The team is called One Team Works, and it's WORX at the end. And Dana mentioned something that has been a network marketing cliche forever. It is a personal development course with a compensation plan. That's true. But one of my bitches has always been the fact that the personal development was always around selling, 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 recruiting, selling. Our team is bigger than that. This is really, we read books around personal development. It's not about how am I becoming the next best network marketer? How am I becoming the next highest vision of Ken? And that to me is hugely important to anybody who's looking to seek a higher level. Seek it doing something, not only something that you're going to absolutely learn to love helping other people, but do it in a way that you are always becoming something more than what you were yesterday, which I think is huge.
It is huge. I love that. As you mentioned, like you're repeating back to me my story, and you're like, when you have 3 kids and 3 clinics, I got a twinge of anxiety. As you said that, it brought me back.
Perfect.
It brought me back to that place
Right.
and that feeling that I had to crawl myself out of. And so if you get that twinge, that's what I would say to our listeners. If you get that anxiety twinge, if you feel like that, like intuition that you have to be really in tune with, I mean, make a pivot or add something new, get a way out, call Ken up, and just don't delay, man. Your joy and your peace is worth way more than that.
Absolutely. There's I'm going to do a show here in the not too distant future on a paradigm that I created for a workshop years ago. It's decide, believe, vision, create. And it really all starts with that decision and then a belief in yourself and then drawing the picture and then create it. Take one step at a time. One of my favorite expressions comes from Martin Luther King. Faith is taking the first step when you can't see the whole staircase. That's what building your own business is. Just move in the direction, as Goethe said, move in the direction of your dreams. That's Thoreau. I'm sorry. Move. And the one that I love from Goethe is whatever you can do or think you can, begin it, because boldness has power, genius, and magic in it. That's, to me, that's starting your own business. That's what that's all about. So this has been maybe the fastest hour I've ever talked to anybody on any show that I've ever done in all the years that I did radio and this show and blah, blah, blah. We're coming to the end here. And of course, I think you and I recognized a long time ago that we could just yap forever.
We could.
I love you dearly. I hope you will come back and do this again with me because there's so many more things to talk about. And maybe the next time we'll talk about that whole business aspect about helping people to move on to just a higher vision, something bigger and bolder than just the 9 to 5. I have a friend wrote a song. One of the lines in the song is you go from work to bar to bed and back again. And that's how too many people are living their lives. Time for change. Time to build something. Time to build a legacy, something that you can pass on to your kids and your grandkids. And that's what we're doing right now. Thank you, my friend. I love you dearly.
Love you, Ken. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Fantastic. You have a great night.
Okay.
Bye. All right, folks. That's all I got for you today. I'm going to give you I'm going to put some things up here for you to know. If you're interested in contacting Dana, the place to find Dana is Dr. Dana McGrady on Facebook. That's the best way to contact her. I always want you to see this little thing here. New Thought Media Network is a nonprofit organization. Please go to our webpage, ntmedia.org. Click on donate. We are thrilled to have anything and everything that you would like to give to us. Dana and I talked about the CBD. Here you go, folks. This show is sponsored by our CBD brand, HempWorks. It's hempworks.com/Ken Ludwig. That'll get you the best pricing and get you whatever it is that you want to know about CBD and anything else. Just find me. I'm thrilled to help you. There's my email address here at the network, ken@ntmedia.org. And last but not least is Vibrant Aging, my Facebook page. You can go there and contact me as well. As always, I am incredibly blessed by the great gift of your time and your attention and by amazing guests like Dr. Dana. I wish you all the love and blessings that the universe has to offer. And until the next time, my friends, thank you and namaste.